When I first started practicing meditation, one of the biggest issues I faced was to find a comfortable way to sit. And you will often hear meditation teachers cover and say, find your seat. And what they mean is not necessarily find a place for you to sit, but find the seat that you can stay at for a little bit longer, anywhere from 5 to 20 or 30 minutes. Some meditations go longer than that. So what we're going to look at today in this video is all the different ways you can find your seat, all the different ways you can make it a little bit more comfortable. There is a balance you want to maintain. You want to be upright and alert. And we'll also look at supine versions of meditation seat. But we're going to start with seated on the floor. So Westerners are not terribly comfortable sitting on the floor. We just haven't done it a lot. So our hips are a little bit more constricted. So you're going to look at a couple of ways of doing this. So what I always like to do, even if I have a carpeted surface, is to take one blanket. By the way, this is Sherlock. He's never been on video, so this is his first time. Hi. And you're going to put that down so it's like resting on the bottom, so you have a little bit of a surface to sit on. You're not helping, are you? This gives you a little cushion underneath your ankles, which is probably one of the areas that most people say they have the biggest problems with. So if you're someone who's a little bit more open, this may be all you need, right? This may be where you want to be at. But if you're like me and your knees are really high from the ground here, that shows that your pelvis is a little bit lower than your knees, and you want to remedy that. So a couple of ways to do that is to take another folded blanket or a beach towel. You're going to tuck it underneath and sit up on it. So now I'm a little bit more comfortable. But for me, this is still not quite enough. This might be enough for you. If this isn't enough, you can take a bolster or a couple of more beach towels or blankets. You're going to place it underneath that and sit up a little higher. So now my knees are directly in line with my pelvic bones. I'm a little bit more upright. It's easier for me to hold this posture, for me to keep my back upright, and just a little bit more comfortable all the way around. Now, if your knees are still really far off the floor in any of these, you can take some pillows from your couch and you can tuck them underneath your knees to give you a little bit of support. Now you have support underneath your knees, your hips aren't overstraining, you have a nice tall, long back, and you feel really comfortable staying upright with no weird discomfort here. So this is your seated options. You could also add a cat, or you could add a towel or blanket around your feet to kind of tuck underneath the ankles if your ankles tend to get really uncomfortable in this position. Or you could take the front of that one that you have underneath, the blanket you have underneath, flip it over so that you have a double lining, or you could put another blanket underneath. This is your seated options. If it's still really difficult for you to hold your back upright in this position and you want to be comfortable but upright, you can always choose to sit up against a wall. Same setup. You can use all of these different things, whatever makes you feel most comfortable. Put your back up against a wall, put everything up against the wall, and sit up so that you're supported by the wall so you don't feel like you're having to really strain to lift and lengthen your spine. So this is seated. And next we're going to take a look at options for when this is not an alternative for you, where it is not comfortable for you to sit, even if you have the props and a wall. We'll take a look at using a chair. Hi, bud. So using a chair can be just as simple. What you're going to do is take any chair. It doesn't have to be this chair. It can be any chair from your dining room. You're going to take a sticky mat and roll it over the back of it so that you have sort of a stickier surface to rest on. Tuck it in. You're going to take one of your blankets or towels, get it a little bit bigger, and drape it over that. So you have this nice kind of comfy seated area. This is where you can sit down. You're supported by the back. And it's a nice comfy seat where you're upright and comfortable. Another alternative to this, if your feet don't quite reach the floor, and a lot of times mine don't because I have sort of a long torso and very short legs, is to take a blanket or a bolster, depending on the length of your feet from the floor. Take your feet up on a bolster, a blanket, a towel, or a block. So if that's too much for you with the bolster, you can take a blanket, tuck that underneath your feet, sit up nice and tall, and you feel very comfortable here. Any chair, your sticky mat underneath to give you a little bit of texture and grip so you don't slide off, a blanket to make it kind of soft and cozy, and something underneath your feet if your feet don't quite fit to the floor or it just doesn't feel comfortable for you to have your feet sort of hanging in space there. The next thing we're going to look at is the supine version of meditation where you can lie down. So if this is not comfortable, if seated on the floor is not comfortable as well, and for some meditations it's more appropriate to have you lying supine or flat on your back. So for a supine practice, I always suggest someone have, even if you have a sticky mat, that you take a blanket and lay it down, or a towel, and lay it down the long way so that your entire mat is covered so that you from head to toe have the experience of having some comfort here. Okay, something to rest on, your back to be protected. So you lie down. Your normal Shavasana stance. Here though, you'd want to have something underneath your neck for a little bit of support. So you're going to take a blanket, tuck it right underneath the neck, and that's going to give you a little head support. Help your neck stay long. Now if you want a little bit more, and you want to be a little bit more comfortable, you can take a bolster or rolled up blanket or towel and softly place that underneath your knees. Nice rest here. And this is for any supine meditation that you might be taking. Oftentimes this is what I use for yoga nidra, or a meditation at the end of a class where you're in Shavasana. Find yourself in this most comfortable version of Shavasana for your meditation. So I hope all of these give you just a little bit of an idea of how to find your best meditation seat. It doesn't mean you're more or less yogic if you are seated on the floor cross-legged or lying down or seated in a chair. It just means you're comfortable and you're probably more bound to continue your meditation practice and commit to it on a daily basis. You're probably going to sit longer in your meditation and experience a lot more of the benefits that a longer meditation can provide for you. So if you enjoyed this video or if it helped you in any way to find a better meditation seat, please don't forget to like, little thumbs up below, comment, and also if you have any suggestions for any other videos that you would like to see, any ideas, please don't forget to comment or email me using the links below. And also don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much, and I hope this helped.